Hello, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from Israel to share with you. We're going to be talking about the IDF, the Israeli military, and I have a report here that may indicate that Israel is not at all well equipped or prepared for war with Hezbollah, and they might need to back down here very soon and call for a ceasefire in Gaza. So we have reports that the Israeli military leaders are calling for a Gaza ceasefire amid an ammo and personnel shortage. So, a group of 30 Israeli military leaders, known as the General Staff Forum, have called on the government, led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, to agree to a ceasefire with Hamas. I put that on the screen there for you. So, these Israeli military leaders are urging Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government to agree to a ceasefire so that way they could release these hostages currently held by Hamas. And then also at the same time, the Israeli military is very low on ammunition, apparently. They are very low on personnel. There's lots of reports, too, that many of these reservists and the IDF are not even showing up for duty. So Israel is very short on personnel and ammo, and also they are very low on material to repair their tanks and repair their equipment, their bulldozers. Apparently, they don't even have spare parts to repair a lot of the equipment that they're using. Also, many of the tanks, for example, or the troops that are heading into Gaza, they are ill-equipped. They don't have enough tank shells for the tanks that are rolling into Gaza, and that's primarily because they're conserving how much ammunition they use because they're afraid they're going to have to go against war with Hezbollah. And if they go to war with Hezbollah, well, they're going to need those tank shells and all the ammunition for the northern front. Okay, so this is obviously very, very big news here. And if this happens to turn out to be a thing where Israel does have to call for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, well, now they can use that to their advantage to tell Hezbollah, hey, we've halted our operations in the Gaza Strip. We have a ceasefire right now. Maybe that will allow Hezbollah to basically back off from the fighting on the northern side of Israel, and they can stop attacking Israel, and then maybe we can have some peace and calm for a little bit, and maybe they could start to figure things out diplomatically and go from there. But the major problem here is that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, will most likely not be okay with this. He's come out many times and said, we are not going to stop assaulting on the Gaza Strip until Hamas is completely eliminated. We cannot leave any fabric of Hamas remaining in the Gaza Strip. We have to completely destroy them, and they are not done working through the Gaza Strip at all, okay? Hamas is starting to reappear in Khan Yunis. I just did reports on that. They were firing rockets just from yesterday inside of Khan Yunis, firing it towards Israel, and clearly they're not done with Hamas, okay? So if they're not done with Hamas, how is Benjamin Netanyahu going to agree to this? But it looks like they may be forced into this position if Israel cannot go to war against Hezbollah to begin with, because they don't even have the ammunition to fight against them. They're going to have to back down and not initiate themselves into this war. So I've got this report here that we're going to be going over here today. This is pulled up on Defense Security Asia. Okay, it was originally reported by the New York Times. It says Israeli military faces ammunition and personnel shortages. Generals call for ceasefire with Hamas. As reported by the prominent American newspaper, the New York Times, the Israeli military leaders are urging Netanyahu's government to agree to a ceasefire with Hamas to facilitate the release of approximately 120 Israeli hostages currently held by the militant group. It says here, a group of 30 Israeli military leaders known as the General Staff Forum has called on the government led by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to a ceasefire with Hamas. This stance, claimed to be supported by Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, contrasts sharply with Netanyahu's firm opposition to any ceasefire with Hamas. According to a report by the New York Times, the Israeli military leaders urged Netanyahu's government to agree to a ceasefire to facilitate the release of approximately 120 Israeli hostages currently held by Hamas. The Israeli military fully supports the hostage deal and ceasefire, stated Eyal Hulata, who served as Israel's national security advisor until early last year. The General Staff Forum also believes that the Israeli military is facing significant shortages after 9 months of conflict with Hamas since October of last year. I mean, it makes sense. You know, they've been fighting Hamas for about 9 months now, dropping bombs all over the place, The majority of their military went in there with all their tanks and everything. I'm sure by now they have quite a bit of their military hardware and everything being used up and depleted, considering they've been fighting down here for quite some time now. They argue that a ceasefire would allow Israeli soldiers to rest and resupply before potentially engaging in a larger conflict with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. I would think that this would be probably much further down the road if this were to go this way. If they were to get a ceasefire and then a war were to break out with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, this would probably be months down the road, not 2 to 4 weeks like what we're experiencing right now. If they can't figure out something to do with the northern side of Israel, with all these displaced Israelis that are living on the northern side of the country that cannot go back to their homes. Okay, so currently the Israeli military is experiencing shortages in ammunition and spare parts for tanks, bulldozers, and armored vehicles. Many Israeli tanks operating in the Gaza Strip do not carry sufficient ammunition, as the military aims to conserve tank shells for a possible war with Hezbollah, according to 2 Israeli soldiers quoted by the New York Times. Ceasefire with Hamas would also facilitate efforts to reach an agreement with Hezbollah, an unnamed Israeli security official told the American newspaper. Hezbollah has previously stated they will continue to attack Israeli forces as long as Israeli military operations in Gaza persist, which have resulted in over 37,000 deaths, mostly civilians. Additionally, the Israeli military is facing personnel shortages, with many reserve soldiers not reporting for duty. Many Israeli reserve soldiers have been on extended deployments at the front lines and are reportedly demotivated and experiencing low morale. According to an official report by the Israeli military, since the conflict with Hamas began last October, 300 Israeli soldiers have been killed and over 4,000 injured. However, analysts believe that the actual numbers of Israeli military casualties are significantly higher than officially reported. Recently, the Hebrew language newspaper Maariv reported that approximately 500 Israeli armored vehicles have been damaged by Palestinian fighters since the Gaza conflict erupted last October. The newspaper noted that several dozen of these damaged vehicles are beyond repair and have been decommissioned from military service. Maariv also reported that Israeli soldiers responsible for transporting these vehicles to Gaza are experiencing physical and mental stress. If Israeli soldiers are called to fight in southern Lebanon, they will be there, but they will not be in good condition, the newspaper stated. So it sounds to me like the Israeli military is not in a good position right now. Their troops are worn out. Okay, they don't want to fight anymore. And imagine if they now got to go to war against a much greater fighting force like Hezbollah, they're going to get stomped. Okay, because if they're already exhausted and gassed from operating down in the Gaza Strip, okay, and they've been fighting against a much lower capable fighting force like Hamas, and then they go up against Hezbollah, who's got much greater capabilities. Okay, lots of heavy weaponry, lots of rockets, ammunition, everything that they've been getting from Iran for months now. They're gonna get smashed. Okay, it's gonna be very difficult for them to fight over there, especially just think about it just mentally and physically. Okay, just like it talks about their stress that they're having here. It's going to affect them greatly if they have to go to war over here on the northern side of the country. So they've got multiple issues right now. They're low on ammo. They're low on personnel. The personnel that they do have are not operating at their full potential. Okay. And they got personnel shortages all over the place. They've got lots and lots of issues. Even their equipment, they can't maintain their equipment, can't maintain their tanks. According to this report as well, lots of their tanks have been either destroyed or decommissioned now. So how is Israel going to go up against Hezbollah in this kind of condition? There's a very big possibility it could go this way, but the only resistance that I see here is really Benjamin Netanyahu. I see him completely not agreeing to any kind of plan like this, because obviously he does not want a ceasefire with Hamas. They want to destroy Hamas until Hamas is completely dismantled, and then that way they don't have to worry about them anymore. But it's looking more and more every day like this is going to be a drawn-out conflict, and we've had some reports too. I've gone over this with you guys, that this could be dragged out for several years. Okay, we're talking up to 2 years. Some of the commanders on the southern front were talking about this. So I don't know, is Benjamin Netanyahu in La La Land here, or what's going on? But Israel may be forced into a position where they do have to agree to a ceasefire, because if not, they're just going to keep getting pounded in the north from Hezbollah, And if they continue to allow that to happen, well, then their people will never be able to go back to the northern side of the country, and then they'll have worse security issues than they do right now, and then they'll be forced to go to war with Hezbollah. So obviously, Benjamin Netanyahu's got to make a big decision here very soon. We're probably going to hear some sort of big decision coming up here in the next couple of weeks, because we had some reports earlier today that Israel could be going to war with Hezbollah by the end of the month, okay? Sometime between the middle of this month and the end of the month. So very big news, and I just wanted to share this with you and let you know the condition of the IDF right now. They are not in good condition, and this report shows that. So let me know what you think down below. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.